Hi, we'll be starting the webinar in just a minute from now. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking your time to be on this webinar. The topic for today's session, something very exciting on the cusp of innovation, 10 emerging trends in software testing, predictions for the next decade. I can't wait myself to unfold this webinar as digital transformations are sweeping through global enterprises. The approach to software testing, which has become business critical to today's competitive business landscape, has gone through tremendous amount of change. And what we bring in this webinar is going to be a very insightful, pragmatic, hands-on experiences that a global leader in software testing is going to share with all of you. Welcome to the webinar. At Gallop Solutions, we are always on the forefront of software testing innovation. We are a global QA organization. In fact, we are North America's largest independent global software testing services and quality management company. We are a subsidiary of Signity Technologies, and with more than 2,000 plus global career testers and 600 of them present in North America, we have been championing the cause of software quality initiatives for some of the best of the breed global leading enterprises. More than 40 of global Fortune 2000 companies depend on Gallop for accelerating their market outcomes, and we kind of focus on imminent thought leadership in form of ensuring a reduced cost of quality through our enterprise test acceleration suite, which is a result of a perennial amount of R&D investment and decade and a half of experience that has gone into quality engineering. With presence over 5 continents and 10 countries of global presence and more than 500 plus satisfied customers, we are always looking for the best of the breed software testing. We are a company with IP focus, close to 5 patents that we have already in progress. We have always been looking at ensuring that we give it back to the community in the form of dedicated testing, thought leadership, shareable initiatives, be it through our webinars or sustained meetups where we kind of bring in quality assurance and quality engineering practitioners. We are a global company in every sense, and we partner with global leading tool vendors in terms of accelerating automated testing initiatives for our global clientele. That's a little bit about Gallop Solutions. Let me introduce today's speaker for all of you. I have the privilege of introducing Kalyana Rao. Kalyana is the president of Gallop Solutions. Kalyana is an acclaimed, world-known global software testing thought leader. He heads the Gallop Solutions and works out of our Philadelphia office. We do have our offices in California and Dallas in the US. Kalyana is an agile software testing expert and has been a keynote speaker par excellence in leading DevOps conferences and recently concluded Star East. He has acted as a trusted and technical advisor for global large enterprises in terms of championing their complex quality engineering initiatives. He has been a hands-on career tester for more than 2 decades and has proven expertise in terms of setting up, managing, architecting large-scale global delivery teams and enterprise-grade testing center of excellence programs. He has so far supported more than 300 customers across a dozen of industry domains in terms of helping their acceleration of business outcomes through compelling software testing initiatives. Last but not the least, Kalyana is also a known architect of leading testing tools, and Quick Clean is one of the tools that Gallop Solutions brought into the market, which Kalyana drives very closely. Kalyana has been recognized for his thought leadership by leading awards. In fact, he has been a winner of the Smart CEO's Cornerstone Award in 2015, recognized from the community in Philadelphia and Washington. And very recently, he won the prestigious 2016 40 Under 40 by the Philadelphia Business Journal. Without wasting any more time, I would like to invite Kalyana on and have this interesting webinar to be shareable with all of you. Thank you so very much. My name is Sairam. I run the global marketing for Gallop Solutions. Kalyan, over to you.
Thank you, Sairam, for the great introduction. And I will get into the session. So the session mainly focuses on the software testing trends and the predictions for the next decade. As you know that a lot of technologies and the tools and also the way the test teams are being organized and also the way testing is being positioned within organizations is gradually changing. So the session is all about what are some of the predictions that we see for the next decade in the context of the changes that are happening about how organizations are viewing testing as. And so in this session we will focus on the 10 different things. The one, there is a role called SDET. We will talk about it and how is the new role called SDET role is different from the regular the testing roles, and also that especially though open source is not new to IT industry, but open source, the tools and the community was not very mature for testing about 5 to 6 years before, and we will talk about the current trends of leveraging open source in the testing space, and also you know, what does it mean for you as an individual in terms of the leveraging open source, and also for the organizations that you are working for. And TCOE, you know, everybody is aware, the whole testing centers of excellence, and how this concept is reshaping in the large enterprises right now. And also the quality, quality has been important for companies for a while, but now the focus is on how can we deliver quality at a very high speed, and we'll talk about some of the trends in this space. And also the digital testing, as you see right now, a lot of enterprises are embarking on digital transformation initiatives to basically offer a very seamless customer experience on the mobile devices for their end clients. Then the big data testing, we will talk about some of the trends both in big data as well as in IoT. And we would also talk about quality engineering, how is it different from quality assurance. And we will also spend time about the performance engineering and how is it different from performance testing. And finally, we will talk about testing budgets and how the testing budgets are shifting in the context of latest technologies. As we're seeing in many organizations right now, the skill set that is required for a tester is changing. You know, one of the questions that I get frequently asked in meetings is that, do testers have to write code? So for the last 4 or 5 years, we have been seeing a trend of actually the job descriptions, testing job descriptions, asking for programming skill as a skill that is required, and several of the engagements that we are doing, majority of the engagements are actually asking for this programming skill as the necessary skill for a test engineer. Then what we wanted to do is we have done a quick research to find out whether this is something that we are seeing in isolation, or is it something that is happening across the industry. Then upon, you know, we did a quick research and we found out that more than 90% of the jobs that are actually asking, they are actually asking for the programming language as a necessary skill for an engineer. And we did not necessarily include only test automation engineer as a job description. We actually took, we included functional test engineer um, also as a job description. So we see, like, across the board, um, when we looked at the skills, and programming skill is taken as a very important skill set that organizations are looking for. So why is it relevant to you? So if you are somebody that is serious about your career in testing and want to build a career in testing, I think this is a trend that we really need to watch out for, so that you could update your skill set and become familiar with this. And also that the most popular automation tool that we are seeing in the marketplace is Selenium, and some of the topmost programming languages that are being mentioned in the job descriptions are Java, C#, things like that. So to answer the question, do testers have to write code? I mean, I would say that having the technical awareness and the ability to understand the design and the overall programming language concepts is very much needed, for if you're serious about building a career in software testing. And what it means is that yes, I mean, programming language is important. We get it. Does it mean that as a modern day tester are the typical profile of a software test engineer? Is it going to be more of a programming language centric? Does it mean that the testers do not need the business domain skills or the black box testing skills anymore? That is not true. So what it means is that the programming skills is an added skill that actually you need to develop, and while you would continue to have the skills that are actually required for software tester that are traditionally required, like industry domain skills and business domain skill, software testing techniques, and having good understanding of the different tools and utilities within software testing. So one trend that we could confidently say is that the SDET role will become a mainstream, meaning that we see that more and more job opportunities coming up for a role titled SDET, which is basically software development engineering test. Moving on to the next prediction, what we are seeing in the marketplace is that more and more organizations are actually leveraging open source tools, especially Selenium. And then we wanted to check if this is really a trend that is sustainable, and that is something that actually that's going to happen in the future. So we did a little bit of research on the job portals, and we also looked at some of the trends in Google based on the search volumes, and it's very clear that Selenium, both in terms of the job openings and in terms of the search volume, is far higher compared to any other commercial test tool that is out there. Not only the absolute number is very high, but also the growth at which the search volumes are rising and the number of job openings are rising is by far very high compared to any other tool. In fact, what we are seeing is that the jobs as well as the search volume for the commercial test tools are on the downtrend. So which means that clearly we see that Selenium emerging as a as a tool of the future when it comes to test automation. And not only that, we're also seeing number of other tools that are actually being used in test automation projects more and more. And also a trend that we're also seeing is that some of these open source tools, be it Selenium and other tools, are being adopted in organizations that are practicing Agile and DevOps methodologies much more than some of the other traditional organizations. So I think based on this data and what we're seeing in the marketplace, I think the open source tools have arrived in the marketplace for the software testing community. I think the open source tools are really going to rule the future in the overall software testing community. Besides Selenium, these are some of the tools that we are seeing in the marketplace. We see like APM being used for mobile test automation, and there is a growing interest of integrating automation test suites within using continuous integration tools such as Jenkins, and Jenkins is quite popular. Especially when you want to integrate your automated test suites as part of your continuous integration server, and also that there is a rise in popularity of using unit testing tools. The tools are not really new per se, like NUnit, JUnit. They had been there in the industry for a very long time, but with the whole Agile and DevOps, which is all about doing things right in the very first place, and making sure that the quality of the applications is being checked very thoroughly, and the ability to do continuous deployment and delivery. So in that context, some of these tools are actually, I would say, they are finding a greater new interest. And also that we see that in the performance testing space, the JMeter, as they continue, the user community is quite big, and also it's the JMeter is being continuously updated. There is a wide amount of support that is available, and so we see a lot more of usage of JMeter. And also another interesting thing is the whole behavior-driven development and acceptance test driven development. These were not new as a concept, but I think in the context of DevOps, these tools are resonating with the whole IT project teams a lot more than what they used to be. So we see a lot of clients are actually using these tools like Cucumber, JBehav, and Fitnessy, some of these tools in the context of Selenium. And one more trend that we are seeing is that look at it like 15 years before or 10 years before, a developer would never install a commercial test automation tool on their machine simply because, one, the licenses are expensive, and number two, it is almost as if he or she has to transform into a different world to be able to use this the test automation tool. But now with the whole open source, we see that the development community is much more open to leveraging the test tools that are being used by the test engineering teams, and also using the testing assets, be it scripts and utilities and frameworks that are developed by the testing team that are being used by the development teams. And Agile and DevOps is also works on the principle of collaboration, which means that the teams are actually working together much more, as opposed to doing the testing at the end of development, after the development is being done. Now, since the development testing are happening concurrently, that is also helping the whole development and testing community to work together. And also the open source tools are allowing the testing teams to write, to build their scripts in the programming languages that are being used to develop those applications as well. So it is not like the testers are actually developing their scripts in a different programming language compared to the programming language that is used by the developers to build their applications. So usage of the common programming language is another trend that is actually driving these usage of open source tools. And all of us are aware of TCOE, the Testing Center of Excellence. If you look at any large enterprise where it is TCOE is all about centralizing all your workforce, centralizing all the testers, centralizing your infrastructure, the testing infrastructure, centralizing the tool licenses, and then offering the testing as a shared service to multiple business units. We see that the trend sort of slowly disappearing, and the more and more enterprises are actually embedding the test engineers as part of the individual Scrum teams, and where the test engineers are actually working with the developers and business analysts on a day-to-day basis, and it's more of collaboration and working together and self-managed teams as opposed to command and control. And however, the test engineers that are still part of these different Scrum teams, they still need help in the context of the tools, frameworks, and best practices, and what is working and what is not working. So that is where the concept of practice center of excellence is coming, or community center of excellence, where these teams are actually acting as a advisory service and more of educating teams on actually how can they actually benefit from a community practices that can be applied within each of these different Scrum teams. So what we see is that TCOE as a big monolithic organization having hundreds of testing teams in a more command and control manner is sort of slowly losing its shine, especially in the context of Agile and DevOps. And I would like to run this video just for the benefit of explaining the concept of how the quality is being
Holland comes in for a pit stop. Time to refuel and change tires. Newmore himself changes the tires. Only 4 crew members, including the driver, are allowed to work on the car. It's a tense time. Holland stays in his seat, anxious to get away. Let's watch.
So, this video is basically trying to capture the innovation that is done in the pit stops and between 1950 and 2010. And in a moment from now, I will actually connect this with the whole innovation that is happening in the overall testing community.
The tires are changed at last. A crewman polishes the windshield as Holland moves away just 67 seconds after he stops.
Yeah, as you could see that if you look at the old pit stop, it used to take about 67 seconds. Now the new pit stop is taking really 2 seconds. There is a massive disruption that happened in the way that the innovation that is happened in the pit stop industry. So if you look at any race, and pit stops were more like used as a necessary and as a thing that is necessary to be done, and not necessarily it was used as a whole winning component. If you look at software testing in many organizations, software testing is actually being used as a phase that is sort of standing in between development and in the production, right? This is something that a phase that comes in that you need to go through. It doesn't, and it's sort of seen as something that slows down the overall time to market to deploy an application at a product. And but if you really look at the new pit stop, the way that is being used, as it's being seen as a strategic component of winning the race. Of course, the skills of the driver, and also the technical design of the car are important. But however, if you don't manage your pit stop well, then you may not win the race. So you could have a best car and a great driver, but then if you are poor at managing your pit stop, then you may not win the race, right? And just applying that analogy to the software testing, so you could actually have a brilliant set of developers and a great design, and then have a great operational infrastructure. But if you do not have a very strategic way of managing your overall test efforts, then it's going to slow the whole team down in terms of getting your product out the door with high quality. So when we talk to a lot of CXO people in the organizations, they talk about high speed and that ability to be able to do these incremental releases very faster. And what they also are not specifying, but they mean it is that it's the quality at high speeds and the ability to deliver products or applications, and in ensuring that we are able to do that at a high quality. So we think that the quality at high speed is going to become a theme for the next 10 years. And 5-6 years before, when we are doing conversations with the IT organizations, heads of the IT organizations, especially in industries that are actually using IT as for their competitive advantage, like banks, insurance companies, retail, and manufacturing and other industries. So the theme is that you may be in insurance, you may be in manufacturing. However, every business is an IT business. So essentially, if you do not have the right IT infrastructure, you may not be able to give what your customers want. So right now, I think the theme is more like every business is a digital business. So So which means that your consumer is already actually every one of the consumers that you have as customers, they already have a mobile device, and they want their overall experience to be seamlessly integrated with their mobile devices. And there are companies which are unicorns that are digitally born, and then they not only are successful, um, their business model is not proven to be successful just at a smaller scale, and most of those companies have actually become $1 billion companies just by leveraging the digital technologies. Some of the examples that we could quote are the world's largest taxi company, which is Uber. They own no taxi. And the world's most popular media owner, which is Facebook, they actually create no content. Their content is actually created by their users. And the world's largest accommodation provider, which is Airbnb, they don't own any real estate. I mean, I can go on and on. It just proves that the digital revolution is actually disrupting the way businesses are operating at a very great speed. And what it means to us as a testing community is that there's going to be a lot of work that's going to come our way, and and also a lot of challenges would be thrown at us in terms of the technologies that are being used to develop these new businesses. So the responsive web design test is going to become more and more important. That how do we develop applications in a way that actually they offer seamless experience to the end customers, irrespective of the mobile device that they're using as an end customer. It could be browser, tablet, mobile, or wearable device. And also that the data is clearly distributed. Not only it is distributed, a lot of the data actually had to be tested at multiple stages, and it needs to be done very quickly in terms of what type of tests need to be run to capture data and to clean data and storage, the aggregation, mining, and analytics. And so with this whole digital testing, I think there are going to be some tests that actually we as a testing community would end up performing that we had never heard before. And what we also see is that probably a new role called digital tester will emerge, and the profile of a digital tester is going to be somebody that is very comfortable with social media, cloud technologies, and mobile and Internet of Things, and probably will require skills in the in data science and algorithms. So I would not be surprised in about 2 to 3 years down the line that actually the companies would advertise for a role called digital tester who would need to have technology experience like the ones that I mentioned. And big data, and a lot of organizations are collecting the data, and however they're all struggling with how to make a sense of this data, right? And actually that is where testing plays a very critical role. And the big data, there are multiple aspects of big data. One is the volume. I think as an industry, a lot of organizations have dealt with high volume data, even in the context of business intelligence and data warehousing. And what makes big data very different is that the velocity at which the data actually has to be processed. So there is a lot of data that is being created every day, and this data, the tests had to be done almost in real time to make sure that some of the important decisions are made. And some of the tests, I think, that are going to become critical in the context of big data are live data integration testing. As and when the live data feed is coming in, that test needs to be conducted, and also some of these the testing in production is very important in the context of big data, and also the scalability testing, how the infrastructure and the applications can handle all of this data, which is growing at a massive speed. And also the data is going to come from multiple different sources, not just from other applications, but also from the devices and sensors. So the security and the privacy testing is going to become a lot more important. And the IoT, it's basically it is estimated that there are going to be about 26 billion things by 2020, which means that there are going to be a lot of devices that are connected to the internet, and they're all interacting in variety of ways in offering a great customer experience. So what becomes important is that we actually, the one example that I would like to quote here is a vending machine example. If you look at vending machine, the selling part of the vending machine is fairly automated. You put $1 in the slot, and then you actually select the item that you want to be picked up, or maybe chocolate, and then the vending machine is actually dispensing that to you. But now we see that there are sensors that are being installed into this vending machine, and that can actually track the stock of the different items within the vending machine. So the whole ordering process is also automated, and based on the volume of different items that are being sold and the pace at which it is being sold, the vending machines are able to predict by when they're actually going to run out of stock, and the order is being placed by the machine itself, to restock all these supplies. So the IoT, I think, is going to be an important aspect where some of the decisions that are actually being made by humans in the past, I think the IoT will actually enable some of this decision-making process as well. So within the context of IoT, some of the tests that are related to machine are going to become important. And the quality engineering. Quality engineering is all about how do we prevent defects, and how do we detect defects early on in the life cycle, as opposed to waiting for the testing phase to happen and then find defects. So the whole quality engineering is becoming a mainstream because of the DevOps, because DevOps plays a very the DevOps methodologies enable development and testing to happen almost concurrently, and people actually would like to have feedback about the quality of the application under test as and when they are making changes. So in a lot of organizations, probably 10 years before, you check in the code and you actually had to wait to check in your code at the end of the day or at the end of the week, and then the build will be sent to the test team, and the test team will run a set of tests, and then you will get to know what are the check-ins that you made probably about 3 days before, 4 days before, whether they had been successful check-ins or not. But now that the whole time to know whether your check-ins are successful or not is reduced from days to minutes. So it is not a fiction anymore that in a lot of organizations you check in your code, you take a coffee break, by the time that you're back, you know whether your check-in is successful or not. So the more and more organizations are actually building automated tests, and they're being run as part of every check-in to know whether the new feature that has been added or a small change that is being done to the overall product is successful or not. So this trend is actually obviously so what it means is that you are no more doing as a test team. The role is not just about finding defects as part of your test phase. It is about finding the defects almost as and when they are happening, and then leveraging automation in a way that actually you are almost able to provide quick feedback about the application under test as the applications are being developed. And if you look at the innovation that is happened within the cars, so if you look at the first version of the car, so it did very basic things. It basically provided the mechanical components that are required to move a car from point to point, but it didn't really have any advanced features. So what it means is that the car actually provided the horsepower, but a lot of decisions in terms of the driving as such had to be made by the driver. But if you take a version of the car that majority of the people are driving right now, you know, not only the current car provides all the mechanical components that are required, but several of the tasks that are typically done by the driver in the past are all automated. That is your automatic braking. It could be your cruise control. It could be your you know, lane departure alert and things like that. However, the driver is retaining still the critical functions in terms of, you know, how much to accelerate, in making decisions around you know, making decisions around where to take a turn and stuff like that. But everybody is talking about autonomous cars, which may be reality pretty soon. And what the autonomous cars are really doing are that they're actually taking over the entire decision-making process that are currently done by the automated cars. That would include you know, some of the decisions that have to be made in real time. That could be your parking functions, that could be your acceleration, that could be you know, the speed at which you want to drive and stuff like that. So what exactly is the innovation that happened here is that the systems have become more autonomous, and they are able to make decisions on their own, and they are interacting with other subsystems, and the decisions that are being made, these systems are not pre-programmed. Some of these systems are actually making decisions almost in real time based on their sense of the current external environment. So if you are to extend this analogy to test automation, so if you look at most of the automated test suites right now, the basic task of the execution is actually being automated. But if you look at the other functions are what test to automate, and where do I run this test, and what data do I feed, and then what are some of the results that are coming out from these automated test feeds, and a lot of this information is actually requires human intervention, and the test teams are actually interpreting this information. And so you know, the whole DevOps is all about automation and requiring less human intervention. Thereby you gain speed at a gain speed, but without compromising the quality. So we foresee a situation that that actually in future a typical test automation architecture would look like more of these subsystems. The subsystems are actually intelligent enough on their own that they can actually interact with other systems, and they're able to make decisions on their own based on based on what is happening in the overall environment. That could be the changes that are being done to the production system. That could be changes that are being done to the data and things like that. So some of the aspects of so the test automation have to be looked at in the context of life cycle automation, not necessarily just the automation of the test per se. So what it would mean is that the automated test suite will adjust itself based on the usage analytics that it is getting from the production systems, and also the data that will be used to run the tests, and also based on the type of test that you are running, it can actually pick up the environment on which the tests need to be run. And another trend that that I would like to talk about is that the whole the concept of performance engineering. I think the user experience is something that you cannot build from a performance context at the end of the life cycle. So user experience has to be built into the product early on, and also we need to find ways to test the performance aspect of the user experience as the development is progressing. So the performance engineering will become a lot more mainstream, which means that it is not only testing the application for performance, it is actually reviewing the specifications from a performance standpoint. It is actually it is also about reviewing the design from a performance standpoint, and then continuously running your performance test on individual units of code before they are being deployed as a product. So we see that performance testing being shifted left, and a lot of proactive performance testing happening as part of your continuous integration. Just like the way that you are integrating your automated test suites, we see more and more companies actually including their performance unit test as part of the continuous integration testing. And the 10th prediction that we'd like to talk about is about the software testing budget. So with all these trends that are happening, big data, virtualization, mobility, cloud, Internet of Things, what does it mean to testing in terms of the budgets? And actually because the DevOps is all about incremental frequent deployments, almost like multiple deployments every day, and then in making sure that the quality has got a much higher priority. So how do we make multiple deployments with high quality? So obviously the emphasis is going to be a lot on early testing, and also investing money in doing test automation early on in the life cycle, because unless and until you invest in test automation, it becomes almost practically impossible to be able to assure high quality and be able to do your continuous testing. So in that context, we think that testing budgets will continue to grow as organizations would put a lot more emphasis on testing activities. So as per the estimates from both from Gartner and Nelson Hall, almost half of the IT budgets will be allocated to software testing and quality, which is really good news for the entire testing community. And actually, software testing as a community, we were thrown a lot of challenges at us over the last 20 years. That could be the web technologies, and that could be web services, and responsive web design. There are a lot of changes that has come through. However, the testing community was able to tackle all these challenges and rise up to the standard. So the 10 predictions that we talked about, I mean, so there are a lot of disruptions that are going to happen in IT, be it digital, be it DevOps, and be it the way the skills that are required for the software test engineers. But the modern day tester have to make sure that he or she is keeping themselves very up to date with the latest tools and technologies, and the ability to foresee what is coming in, what's going to happen, and then be ready for that situations. And I also have a bonus trend. So what we see is that the lot more organizations actually want to separate the software testing and development, and they would like to work with independent testing services, because independent testing services are actually, they are only focused on software testing, and they also can offer unbiased opinion about the quality of testing, and they can actually bring in the thought leadership that is required. So we see that based on the recommendations from the industry analyst, so the independent testing services market itself is growing in double digits, and however, while and also the base of the independent testing services market is also growing. So we see that more and more the budgets being allocated for testing are continue to grow, and also that the usage of using independent testing services companies for getting this work done. So based on this, it is fair to say that actually very likely that we're going to have a first $1 billion testing company that just focuses on offering software testing as a service because of the need for the quality and ability to bring in innovation and thought leadership in this space. And so that concludes the top 10 predictions for software testing for the next decade. I hope you all enjoyed the session.
Yeah, thank you, Kalyan. Looks like it was really insightful looking at the questions that I have already received. So what I would do now is kind of relay the questions for your audibility, and if you could answer them, I think the audience would be really glad for that. So the first one I see very interesting. The question asks, do you ever see the role of a chief quality officer, or will it still fall under a CIO?
That's an interesting question. So yeah, I would say that about like 10 years before, we had seen organizations where the director of testing or VP software testing still reporting to the person that is managing the overall development effort. But we see now more and more organizations where they actually have separated the testing or quality as a function, and then directly reporting into CIO. So which means that finally the test team, that the person that is leading the overall test efforts for the organization, have got a seat at the table. So having said that, why the organizations, as the organizations are continuing to have a lot of focus on quality and the speed, and I can clearly see that probably CIOs are focusing a lot of emphasis on speed, and so there had to be a function that balances the speed and quality. So I don't see any reason why a title like Chief Quality Officer will not have much. I guess yes, we probably would see a title like that in the future.
Great. The other one is even interesting. How does a TCOE transition to a practice center of excellence or even a quality management office? Your thoughts on that?
So the way that we see a lot of companies that are establishing practice center of excellence is think of practice center of excellence as a small set of a group. These are high-end individual contributors that are constantly researching and working with the teams on a day-to-day basis, and also interacting with the teams and getting the information about what is working, what is not working, and observing the industry and things like that. So think of the practice center of excellence as a set of core individuals that are known for their expertise, knowledge, and research abilities, and can actually add value to the different individuals that are to the different test engineers that are embedded as part of these sprint teams. So the practice center of excellence, I see that as more of a, I don't see the practice center of excellence being a group that would have hundreds of individuals. I think it would have, it would be a decent team size, of course, based on the overall organization size and all that. But that organization that will be known for their expertise, where the individual testers that are part of various teams can tap their expertise into. So the way that it's going to, in terms of the way that it works, is that the DevOps puts a lot of emphasis on self-organizing teams and individual excellence, and thinking about the overall team goals as the focus. I think in that context, the practice center of excellence is a team that helps drive these individual agile team goals by offering their expertise on moving the needle.
Very detailed and insightful explanation. The other one that is coming across as a question: so do you think automation developers should be in the development team?
Yeah, I think the way that I look at it is that I think the moment you look at testing as a function, then you would start thinking about the testers and developers. The moment you start thinking about testing as an activity to be performed by multiple individuals, I think this confusion will go away. So what I mean by that is that there are testing activities that need to be done throughout the development life cycle, and some of these testing activities would be done by the business analyst. Some of these testing activities would be done by the developers, and some of these testing activities would be done by the business users during the user acceptance test. So when you take an approach like that, then what happens is that who has the right skills to that testing activity in that particular phase. So while majority of the testing activities would be done by the test engineers per se, but some of these testing activities could be done, and I would say has to be done by the other project stakeholders during the development life cycle. So I would say that while majority of the test automation development would be done by the testers, however, developing unit tests are actually doing requirements ambiguity tests or performing user acceptance tests would be done by the other project stakeholders as well.
Yeah. So we would take one last question. What can you recommend to a manual tester on what they should be doing to transitioning into an automated testing role inside their company?
That's a good question. So one thing that I would recommend is that trying to learn a programming language, just one programming language. You don't need to try to master multiple programming language. And I would say that learning one programming language from the basics is very important, and also spending time with the development teams and sitting along with them, and then trying to develop tests that are actually testing their code beneath the user interface layer, right? Just going to the architecture diagram and participating in the code reviews, aspects like that would improve the overall technical awareness. And yeah, if I'm a test engineer in an organization and wanting to transform myself into bringing in the development, design, and automation skills, that's what I would do. I would say that start spending more time with the development team and try to participate early on in the early development activities, and then start writing code to test some of the code that is being developed by the developers. I think that's a good starting point.
Sure. I would request one last question. Looks very interesting. Yeah. If you have, okay, how will the testing transformations impact or provide opportunities for QA managers today who manage testing centers of excellence and the test organizations that will eventually evolve?
Yeah, I would say that the role of quality and the testing concepts are going to be important, and that's a very niche and high demand skill. And as organizations are transforming from a centralized TCOs to more like a decentralized or hub and spoke kind of a model, I would say that that would create new opportunities for the QA managers to expand their skill set into more technical, and also learn a lot of business skills. So by the decentralization actually offers a lot more breadth in terms of getting involved early on in the life cycle, so that you could actually gain skills related to architecture and design, and also it would allow you to interact more with your business users and understanding how the customers are actually using the product or applications, and knowing more about the different analytics in the production. So I would say that actually the whole decentralized approach would broaden the skill set of the QA managers and test managers a lot more, and actually their value to organizations, and also in terms of their own skill set would be much broader.
Right. Looking at the questions, I think we need to take this bonus question. How do you differentiate the roles of release teams versus the QA teams in an Agile DevOps scenario?
So I would say that the way that the way to think about it is that QA teams provide information to the release teams so that the release teams can actually make decisions about the go no go decisions, for the deployments. So I would look at the QA team as an information provider to the release teams. When I say information with respect to the hard evidence about the quality of the application under test, and also giving them information about the defects that are being found, and the overall coverage that the test team was able to achieve, and also their own the feelings about the quality of the application under test compared to previous versions. So I would see this as the quality team as being a supplier of to the release team, so that release teams can make better decisions.
Thank you, Gyan. I must actually really thank what looks like a very engaged audience for some of the questions that have been coming through. But for the paucity of time, we would have loved to answer many of them. We would request all your questions to be redirected to marketing@gallup.net. We would ensure that we will have them answered. Having said that, thank you all once again for taking your time to be part of this webinar. Gallup will continue to be at the forefront of software quality engineering innovation, and we look forward to having many of you and all of you for all our upcoming webinars. I once again thank Kalyan for taking his time out, and thanks for all of you to be there on today. Have a great week ahead, and we will catch up once again. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Sairam. It was my pleasure.